Good afternoon. I'm Mrs. Huey. I'm the Director of Counseling here, and I am joined by Ms. Alaya. So we're here to help you create a college application game plan. Why now? Because we don't want you to be super stressed during senior year, right? It's a lot of work, and so we want to walk you through some items and tasks that you need to be completing now, and then what to look forward to. Sound good? All right. So first we're going to start off in a prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you hope and a future. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, and it will be given to you. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. That's the beauty of our faith, that no matter what happens in this process, if you lean on God and trust in His will for you, you're gonna end up where you're supposed to end up. And that green piece of paper is one of these Bible verses that you can keep, and I suggest you keep. You may need to lean on that as you're going through this process because they can be stressful and fear-invoking, but we're hoping that after today's presentation you won't feel that way anymore. All right, so the first thing that you need to complete this semester is the letter of recommendation request. How many of you have already requested your letters of recommendation from a teacher? Good job. High five. Okay, if you haven't, that's okay. That's why we're talking to you now. You have until May 1 to choose a junior level teacher. Okay, that's Friday. So you're going to identify a junior teacher in a core subject area. Somebody that you know well or who knows you well. Now what you want to do, this is a formal request. This is not a, hey, Ms. Phillips, can you write my letter of recommendation? Thanks, on the way to the restroom, right? That is not okay. You need to email them first for just to let them know that you're going to request the letter of recommendation. Then you can come up to them and ask them in person, okay? If they say yes, okay, then that's a go to do your brag sheet for that particular teacher. If a teacher says no to you, that's also a benefit because either one, they are not going to write you a good recommendation letter, so they're just like no, or they're already at a cap. Okay, because a lot of teachers, Ms. Phillips being one of them, writes upwards of 50 letters of recommendation. That's a lot, and we don't want to put any more because she's your teacher, right? So she has to do her job. Now, anytime a teacher or somebody does something for you, what do you say? Thank you. But what we're going to take it a step further. Okay, you're going to hand write a thank you note. This is good practice. When you are out in the world and you have a job interview, that handwritten thank you note might get you the job. It has. I hired somebody because they hand wrote me a thank you note. All right. Now the UCs and the Cal States do not require letters of recommendation. Okay, they do not require it. So if you're only applying to those schools, you don't need it. But right now, you might not know what schools you're applying to, so just act like you're going to need a letter of recommendation because you don't want to do it last minute. Now for the counselors, you're going to complete the brag sheet. We, unlike your teachers, have to say yes because you only have one counselor, just like you have one mom, one dad, you have one counselor, right? So we have a specific link to our brag sheet. Do not share those links, and you're going to get those links today. You want to update your resume in Naviance. You are required to be a Naviance going into senior year and for the college applications. So there is a resume in there that you're going to need to fill out, and you're going to have to put all the colleges you're applying to in the colleges I'm applying to list in Naviance. If you don't understand how that works, we are there. You can always make an appointment, walk in, we can show you how to do this. Now in the fall, this is when you will have your official list of colleges. That's why it is important that you start this process now so that you have a list, because why? You need to let your teacher know your earliest deadline. Okay, you have to have it finalized so that you can tell them what your earliest deadline is. You want to request them in the Common App. Okay, the Common Application is one application for many, many schools. Thousands of schools use this one application So that's where you're gonna request it and waive your FERPA right, which basically means you're waiving your right to see your recommendation letters. Okay, that way there's no undue influence. If after you do your research and you need a secondary recommender, then you must provide them at least 3+ weeks advance notice and provide them with a brag sheet as well, okay? And that brag sheet you'll email to them completed. It is your responsibility to keep track of everything, not your teachers and your counselors, it's you. We can help you as your counselor, but that's your responsibility to get organized. And I can't reiterate enough, write a thank you note. Last year, teachers are like, nobody wrote me a thank you note. How sad is that? That's sad, right? They did a lot for you or for your classmates. So a counselor, you're also going to request in Common App, request transcripts through Parchment, and we'll review how to do that in the fall. You don't need to know how to do that now. And you're going to update Naviance with your finalized list of colleges. A pro tip. You can submit your application starting August 1. That is the earliest you can submit applications. You do not have to wait for the teachers or the counselors to submit their documents in order for you to apply. We will get our stuff in, and then they'll complete the application on the college's end, okay? And make sure you celebrate, share your news. Teachers who wrote your letter of recommendation this year, it'll be a year before you find out, so let them know. They really want to know how it worked out for you. Okay, how do you select a teacher if you haven't already? You want to select somebody who knows you well, somebody in a core subject, somebody who can talk about your growth and character. It doesn't have to be a class where you did super well in. It could be a class where you got a B, you scraped by with a C, okay, but you hustled, you did well in that class, that would be a good letter. Again, email the teacher first, ask in person, and be specific as to why you are asking them to write a letter of recommendation. Some colleges require certain subject areas. Like, for example, if you're going to study engineering, they want a STEM teacher and possibly a humanities teacher. So that's up to you to do the research. And then you want to follow up. Now, for the brag sheet that you're going to complete by June 1, you want to give them the content, good content to write your letter of recommendation. Don't assume they know everything you did in the classroom. That's up to you to provide that information. So use stories, be detailed, and even better, show the impact, either how you grew or how you helped others in the class, okay? The teacher provides the picture of you within the context of the classroom. Not like your counselor. We don't know how you are in the classroom, okay? The counselor provides a holistic picture. It's you within the context of modern day. Are you in ASB? That's a big deal. Are you taking 5 APs? Did you have a teacher that left, and you had 4 teachers at that time? So that is what we're trying to paint for the colleges, is how you are holistically. And then if there are any unique circumstances, maybe you got a low grade in a class, but you were sick. We have to write that down. That way there's some context involved in that grade. Don't be afraid to brag. People often are like, I don't want to talk about myself. You have to. Absolutely. Just brag and show us, don't tell us, okay? And brag in a humble way, right? Like, you don't have to be what's called conceited about it, but factual about what you've accomplished. So on the right here, or on your left, you have the teacher brag sheet. What you're going to do is download that. You don't have to do it right now. I'm going to give you instructions. You're going to download that onto Notability, okay? That is the brag sheet that you're going to complete for your teachers. The counselor brag sheet will take you to a number of links. The counselor links to their brag sheet. So you're going to do both. You're going to scan the teacher brag sheet right now and download onto Notability. After you're done with that, you're going to scan the counselor brag sheet and find your counselor's link. And all of those brag sheets will be due when? June 1. Okay, go ahead. I'll give you a few minutes. So the first teacher brag sheet, you want to download the PDF onto Notability. The second, you're just going to scan it and save it so that you can find the link to your counselor's brag sheet. Good? All right, building your college list. Okay, the goal. You want to find a fit. What does fit mean? And I'll explain that later, but you want to make sure that the school is a good fit for you. You want to have choice, and you want to be intentional about the colleges that you put on your list. Apply with purpose. Only to schools you can see yourself attending. Never apply to a school where you're like, I don't even want to go there anyway, I just want to get in. Well, that's a waste of time and money, right? So as you're building your list to ensure that you have choices, you want to divide your list into thirds. A third in your reach. What's a reach school for everybody?
Harvard.
There you go. Harvard, UCLA, all the Ivy Leagues, okay? So you can have a few in there. Now you want to focus on finding your target and likely schools, okay? The target is where you're in the average, and you can find this out in Naviance or scattergrams where there are modern day student GPA and test scores, and you are plotted on that graph to see your admissibility, okay? So 2/3 in each, and you want to keep it simple. You don't need a lot of schools, okay? 9 to 12 schools is great. And how many schools could you get into, or would you get into if you did it this way? How many choices might you have? 4 to 6, right? You don't need a lot of options. Building your college list, the fit. You want to find your academic fit. Where are you going to thrive academically? Okay? Where are you going to find your people? Social. Go to campus when they have students there, so you can see what kinds of clubs, organizations. You want to make sure that you feel a sense of belonging at that school because you want to stay there for 4 years, right? Now, financially, you want to talk to the people that are paying for college, your parents, guardians. Before you even put a school on your list, you need to make sure that you're collaborating with your parents to see what can we afford. I've seen too many students get into their dream schools, and by May, they can't go because they can't afford it. All right, and how to be intentional with your college list. You have to do research. This is not superficial research. You need to make sure you understand the programs that they have, the sports, the classes, the community, the location, all of that comes into play. You're gonna also make sure that the school matches up with your values. What do you need to do? You need to come up with your values first. Now, with the demonstrated interest, now there are a number of schools, Harvard not being one of them, all these reach schools are not them, but there are schools, for example, University of San Diego, LMU, Gonzaga, they will track demonstrated interest. How do they track? If they're on campus, you come and visit, you do an inquiry card, you open up emails, you visit the campus. If Chapman's one of your top schools and you've never visited, you are not demonstrating interest, okay? That's also a question you can ask the colleges if they are tracking demonstrated interest and how. Now the strategy for building your list, more does not equal better. More equals more stress. That's what we're trying, with Wellness Week this week, we want to mitigate that stress. Should you be stressed? Yes, a little bit is fine, right? But not where you're absent from school just to complete your applications, okay? And you will complete, or you will be able to create solid applications if you follow this process, not throwaway applications where it's not going to be effective. And you want to focus your efforts on visiting your likely and target schools. I mean, it's fun to visit reach schools, but you may not get in, right? The likelihood is low. How many schools can you attend? 1. That's right, so you don't need a million options. Yeah, you don't need a lot of options, you need the right kind of options. Now, with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Ms. Celaya to talk about Naviance and how to research on Naviance.
Thank you. Okay, so quick show of hands, how many of you have logged into your Naviance in the last couple of weeks? Okay, a few of you. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, or you haven't logged into your Naviance in a while, you're going to want to connect with your counselors like yesterday, right? Because every single one of you has an account established for Naviance, and we need to make sure that you can log in. Why? Because there's so many tools here that are available for you around exploration, different kinds of exploration. The first kind of exploration is self-discovery. Right? We often say before you can look externally to find that right fit school, you should be looking internally. You want to have a good sense of what your strengths are, what your areas of challenge are, how you stack up with the different intelligences, if you have some learning preferences, things like that. There are assessments on Naviance that can help you figure that out, right? There's also an area for career exploration. Some of you have some ideas of what you want to do in the future, maybe some career pathways, right? Maybe you want to be an architect or an engineer. Some of you have no idea what you want to do, and that's okay too. There are tools in Naviance where you can look up, hey, what does an aerospace engineer make on average in California or across the US? What kind of schooling do I need to be in this career? What kind of skills and traits would be successful or a good fit in this career, etc. Right? So there's tools where you can explore careers. And then what I think Naviance is most known for is their college exploration piece. One of the tools that they have available is called Supermatch. And this allows you to provide factors, your must-haves, your values, everything you're looking for in a college experience, whether it's location, size, major, clubs, sports, etc., right? And when you put it in, it builds a list of colleges for you that meet that criteria, whether it's 100% or 50% or somewhere in between, right? So this is a great place to start your exploration of colleges. And then you can take it a step further by looking at the modern day application history for that school through what's called scattergrams. These are graphs that show us plot points of actual modern day students in the past couple of years who have applied to these schools. You'll be able to see that student's average GPA and their test score if they submitted one. So this is awesome information because then you can go in and see, how do I stack up with these people? If I were to graduate today, would I be among the people who were accepted? Would I be among the people who were denied or waitlisted, etc.? So that's valuable information, right? And as Mrs. Huey mentioned, if you haven't already started a resume, super, super important to get that started now, right? Two main reasons. Number one, as your counselors, we always check in with your resume when we're writing your letter of recommendation, right? Number two, every single college is going to ask you, what did you do outside the classroom in the last 3 years, right? How did you contribute to your community? What sorts of things are you interested in? How did you build your leadership, etc., right? So those are the things that we can learn through your resume. So if you haven't started that, whether it's through a Google document, you can go on to Naviance and use the resume builder for that. Eventually, you will want to put all of your colleges on Naviance. There's two main areas that you're going to focus on. The first area is called Colleges I'm Thinking About. Right now, as you're brainstorming a list of colleges, you're thinking about all these schools, you're having you have a long list, most likely. That's where your Colleges I'm Thinking About is going to live. And then over the course of the next few months, as you start to narrow it down and figure out what are your 9 to 12 schools, you're going to move those colleges over to your colleges I'm applying to. That's the second area, right? So we want to keep those as up to date as possible. Now here we wanted to make sure you had a very clear sense of the things that fall under your responsibility, right? First and foremost, most obvious is the application. Now, how do we know, what we're doing? Where do we send these applications to? Quick show of hands, how many of you have heard of the Common Application? Good, more than a few of you, awesome. For those of you who are not aware, Common Application is one application type. This is one platform that about 200 to 300 colleges participated, right? Many of you will have at least one college on the Common App, which means you will likely be completing the Common Application. If you're planning to apply to the UCs, that's a separate application platform, right? And then if you're planning to apply to Cal States, that's a different application platform. So for some of you, you're looking at potentially 3 different application platforms that you'll need to complete. That's really important information to know as you go into this research process, right? You can't just sit down and whip one up in one night. Well, maybe the Cal States, right? Because there's no essays on that one. But once you send your application off, then you'll get information back from the college that says, thank you so much for your application. Here's the information that you need for your portal, to set up your portal. This is a college-specific portal, and this is the way that colleges will then start to communicate with you individually. They're going to tell you what their admissions decision is, but before that, they're going to tell you all the things that they still need from you. That could include standardized tests, ACTs or SATs. Many colleges are still test optional, which means you have the option whether to send a test score or not. But some schools are starting to require them again, right? Every year we see a few more schools going back to requiring tests. So it's very important that as part of your research, you figure out, are the schools that I'm looking for, or that I'm looking at, are they requiring tests? As I mentioned, colleges don't have a preference between SAT or ACT, so if you're not sure where to find that information, what's the difference between SATs and ACTs, when should I be testing, etc., make sure you're having those conversations with your counselors. Another thing they might reach out for is your letters of recommendation. So Mrs. Huey went over that process, right? When are those brag sheets due? June 1st. Awesome. You guys are listening. And so beyond that, you have to designate on your application who is actually submitting a letter on your behalf, okay? And then many of them will also want transcripts. This is an official academic record of your grades from 9 through 12, right? We do not send transcripts automatically because we don't know where to send them to. So you guys have to initiate that transcript request process, and that'll be done in August. So we'll go over that process with you. And then once all that's done, you gotta figure out how to pay for college, right? College is expensive. So we have what's called the FAFSA. That is the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It's the main application for financial aid for all the colleges. Okay, this is through the Department of Education, and it opens up October 1st. So you're able to send this information to all the colleges on your list, and then they can put together a financial aid award for you. Beyond that, some colleges will require what's called the CSS profile, similar to the FAFSA, but it's through the College Board, and this one's not free. So you have to make sure that you're only sending it to the colleges that actually require it, because you do have to pay a fee each time you send it, okay? And then looking for outside scholarships. We've got tons of resources in the counseling office for local and nationwide scholarships for you to apply to, okay? Now when students apply, they will often say, well, there's a ton of deadlines listed, like how do I know what's what? And how do I know which one to apply to, right? So I wanted to break those down for you. Early action is just as it says. You apply early and you hear back early. Those deadlines are usually anywhere between October 1st through November 30th. And there's no limit to how many colleges you can apply under early action. So what do we recommend? Send off as many early action applications as possible, right? It's kind of nice to get them out of the way. And then for some of these schools, you might hear back by December, by Christmas time, okay? Now, in contrast, early decision is quite different. That one is a legal binding agreement that says, I'm only applying to one college under early decision, and if I get into that college, I have to withdraw the rest of my applications because that's where I'm going, right? So you're making a commitment to that school. You want to go into this very cautiously, right? Because unless this school checks off every single box on your list, it's been your dream school for forever, or just meets every single need, and you're ready to potentially pay the full cost of attendance, this is not something you want to go into lightheartedly, okay? Most of those ED deadlines are around November 1. Regular decision just means it's their regular deadlines. Those are usually anywhere between late December through February and March. Just depends on the school. Priority deadlines are the ones that we see where, I'm thinking about USC, they often say if you want access to merit scholarships and the most financial aid that you can qualify for, you will want to apply by their priority deadline, which is usually around November 1. And then lastly, we have rolling admissions. This is typically what we will see for the large public out-of-state schools. And what that means basically is that they will continue to accept applications as they have space available, right? So if in April or May right now, if they still have room in their incoming class, they're still taking applications, right? Sometimes we'll see these schools take applications into May and June if they still have room. So these schools tend to provide the most flexibility. August 1st is when your common application opens and the UC application opens. So get a head start, fill out the tedious demographic information that's easy, just take some time. And then October 1st is when the Cal State application opens up, okay? So start early. Do not wait until the deadline. If you know that a school has a deadline of November 30th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, do not wait until that time to submit those applications, okay? I've been a counselor for 10 years, and almost every year the UC application, the website crashes on that day, right? How much extra stress does that give you when you're sitting there trying to submit an application at 11:59 p.m., right? It's a lot of stress that you can avoid. So try to have your applications done weeks ahead of that deadline, okay? And then by May 1 is when you make your final decision. You pay your deposit and you say, this is where I'm going to college, okay? So I wanted to switch gears and talk a little bit about AI, artificial intelligence. We are in the age of AI, right? We use it. You use it. We know you use it. I don't know how you use it, but I know you use it, right? And so when you guys get a copy of this presentation, I want you guys to spend some extra time going over these do's and don'ts, right? There is a good, positive, and ethical way to use AI. I am not saying don't use AI. Use it. It's there for us, right? But it should not take the place of you thinking, right? It should not take the place of what your brain has been designed to do. It should be used for things like brainstorming, making the most use of your time, helping you organize your research process, helping you organize your information that you've already gathered, right? It should not be writing your essays. It should not be giving you big chunks of information that you then copy and paste into your application. Super, super important that you guys understand that. For many reasons, but among those, one of them is that colleges are now including in their application this AI position statement. This is basically a notice of, it's like information on how they feel about AI in the college admissions process. And when you submit your application, you are saying that I confirm that everything that I have put into this application is true, is in my voice, is my work and my work alone, right? And I have only used AI in an ethical way, right? So just keep that in mind, all right? AI is a tool, it's not a substitute for thinking. Now, looking ahead at next year, we've got a ton of things ready to go for you guys. So college visit Tuesdays and Thursdays, we've moved away from the lunchtime visits where the college reps will post up in Shamrock Plaza. We're doing that during class time now. So we will have a schedule posted in Naviance in Canvas. And the only thing you need to do is look at that schedule, take a look at which colleges you want to connect with, and register. And then give your teachers a heads up, preferably a couple days notice, okay? We wanted to try to have a little bit more of an intentional interaction between you guys and the reps, so this will hopefully give us that. And then on Thursdays after school, we're gonna have college application assistance. You don't need an appointment for this. This is on a walk-in basis, so if you stumble upon a question that you're not sure how to answer, or there's a section in your Common App that you're stuck on, come in and get some extra help, okay? We'll have workshops for Cal State and UC applications, because those are wildly different. And then if you need help with your essays, you've got resources here. You can start with us, your counselors. You can start with your English teachers. We will offer an essay review day on October 7th. That is with college admissions reps, so talk about getting some pretty awesome feedback. And then there's a website called the College Essay Guy. There's some paid stuff, but the free resources are phenomenal, so check them out. Looking ahead, if you still need to take an SAT or ACT, we've got some dates through July. And then we're putting together college application seminars over the summer. So these are week-long, a little over a week-long workshops where you'll be working with college admissions reps and an independent counselor, Mrs. Castro, who's been in the game for over 30 years. Many students who participate in these kinds of seminars are oftentimes pretty much done or close to done with their applications before they come back to school in August. So if that is of interest to you, make sure that you talk to your parents, and we'll be sending out additional information in the coming weeks. And then October 19th is our college fair. So mark your calendars, okay? If you have not set up your junior meeting, please, please, please make sure that you're setting that up as soon as possible. We want to make sure that we're connecting with each and every one of you guys. At the very least, to get your courses for next year confirmed, okay? Easiest way to do that is through the QR codes right outside the counseling office, so stop by. I'm gonna skip this transcript request process because we will go over that in August. All right, I'm gonna take a beat. I know that Mrs. Huey and I have hit you with a lot of information right now, right? Some of you may be feeling a little overwhelmed. Some of you may be feeling like, I've heard this already. Some of you are just feeling a little lost, right? All of that is valid, and we also want to recognize that this process takes a lot out of you, right? It could be really stressful. And there are things that are inside of your control and things outside of your control. We want you to focus only on the things that are inside of your control. Right now, that's the research process, that's getting together a very intentional list, and then submitting your applications. Once your applications are sent off, it is out of your control, okay? So let go and let God, because we really believe in the counseling office that you guys, each and every one of you, will end up exactly where you're meant to be, okay? And last little plug, make sure you guys mark your calendars, October 19th, where you're gonna have VIP access at our Mater Dei College Fair. All right, okay, so quick show of hands, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. How are we feeling with this whole process? How are we feeling with the information that's been provided? Excellent, okay, I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up, some thumbs sideways. All good things. Any questions? Thank you. All right, Mrs. Huey, any last words? You have a question? Yes.
After you fill out like the brag sheets, what do you do with them? Send them to your teacher?
Yes, the teacher brag sheet, once you're done with it, you're gonna email it to your teacher.
And then does that go through the Common App? Or?
On the Common App, you will identify the teacher and their email address, and then they will be able to upload their letter. Yep, you got it. Exactly, good question. Anything else? Okay, you guys have been an amazing audience. Thank you for your attention. You guys are ready to go? You are dismissed.